observation tower is going to be right about there. So you can do a full 360-degree view of the property. So you could see what's going on in the evac track. You can see what's going on the firing range. You can see what's going on over a classroom or anything else, or behind you, closer to FIRMA if you needed to. And it can also be used, which I don't have any slides on this, so I'll just give you a little bit of information on that tower, is that it actually will have a rappelling wall for them to train on and elevated shooting station for them too if they need to. So this is just kind of a schematic of what the outdoor range looks like. This right here is the trap mechanism. I guess if this will let me, I'll go a little bigger. I don't know if that helps or not, but you can see right here with this V shape, that's the throat of our trap, and then the centrifugal trap piece where the lead gets into and just falls into buckets is right here. This is kind of a front view of the 20 lanes of shooting. These right here are just big concrete T-walls that go all the way out to the 50. The 25-yard shots right in here, about halfway through. So just wanted to kind of show that schematic of, right here is a kind of an overall view of what it looks like with the lanes shown and the bolt trap and all that kind of schematically. I realized I forgot to put what it looks like as a final product, but if you've been up 79, that's what's sticking up out of the ground right now. That's the concrete box we have out there. Moving on to the firing range pavilion. Sorry, it's not a color rendering, but this is the general side view look that you would see while you're in there. It is going to have a overhang canopy where they can, at least get out of some of the rain, weather, or whatever if they have some issues with that, but they'll have a gun cleaning station that'll be out there that they can use. It's right next to the range, so they can just drop right on over and do that. But it's also set up to have training to where they can sit down and do class training first, and then they can go out to the range and do whatever active shooting they would need to do from there, or they can use this for multiple other levels of training, whether it's obstacle course use, SWAT training use, whatever. They could use this as a classroom also. It's just a lot smaller than our main classroom, which I'll get to here in a little bit. This is a pretty simple building, nothing too crazy, couple of bathrooms and the classroom area to be able to use. Then the simulated shoot house that I was talking about is 10,000 square foot facility for simulation scenarios. It'll have a catwalk for training and observation. It's going to have an interchangeable wall system to meet whatever training needs they have. It's going to have the armory spaces for just the simulation rounds, and it'll have various stair training scenarios available too, which you can kind of see. This is a rendering of what it will look like if you're coming kind of southbound on 79. This is the general view of what the sim house is right here, and then this is our fleet maintenance building, just general renderings of what it looked like back in the day when we were in design. And you can see the treatment plant in the background just for orientation right here. That's the big B&R tanks that they have out there just for orientation. And this is a 3D modeling that we had done just to kind of show a bird's eye view of what it looked like. This is your catwalk right here that the instructors will be able to use. This is the changeable wall systems that they could put in any scenario that they would need to. And then you can see there's 3 or 4 stair situations that they can train off of too that are similar to stair situations that our police in St. Charles City's police have run into and would like to train further on. This is a color rendering of what that will generally look like, just to give you an idea, high level. Getting into the classroom, it's about a 27,000 square foot building. It's got multiple classrooms that can be set up as one big one on each side of the main hallway, or it can be partitioned to have smaller rooms. There is office space for both the 2 cities staffing that we need at the facility all the time. There's also spaces for the Eastern Missouri Police Academy, who is going to be moving their academy over to this facility once it's built. It also will have a little gym area for some indoor training needs. It's got canine kennels for the canine which we have an obstacle course I didn't point out, but when I get back to that picture I can do that. There's canine obstacle courses and training area, and there's also a human obstacle course area that'll be established in the future. So we do have some canine kennels, and there will also be some future space for a potential virtual simulator if that's what they decide to put in there. This is the general rendering of what it looks like. And pretty nice looking building, pretty straightforward. It's actually a pre-engineered. All the buildings we're building are pre-engineered metal buildings. Just a bunch of steel will go vertical here hopefully within the next month or two. This is a high-level layout. Like I was saying, there's classrooms here that can be partitioned, or it can be one big training room. These are a little bit more, these are actually solid walls here I think through this one, so these are partitioned, but we do have the availability to have one big training room right there on this side. This is your office space. This is an office space, and that's where the academy, and then also academy would be on one side, St. Charles and O'Fallon would be on the other. We have a cafeteria with some locker rooms, both men's and women's. This is the gym area, plenty of storage. This is the future room for Virtua or any virtual training they'd need with mechanical spaces. This is our kennels up there. It's got a little patio that goes out the back. So this is just kind of high level what this looks like. I'm going to try something here. I got fancy. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It doesn't look like it is. Darn it. Unless I do this. So these are some renderings. I hope it works. Sweet, it does. These are some of the renderings of what we got from our architect that kind of show you how the classrooms are going to work out, video walls, things like that. We're going to have, here's the movable walls that go back into the wall there, and multiple spaces for this, just high level. That's one that worked right. And then this is a cafeteria, general cafeteria area. Vending machines. This is the exit to the east, which would go out into the site. Good viewing for watching training as it goes, kitchenettes and stuff like that. And then this is the front corridor, which I think is a pretty cool view coming in. Hopefully it turns out this way. But this would be your front corridor looking down. Like I said, office space for Academy is either on this side or this side, and then City, O'Fallon, and St. Charles would be on the opposite side. So just kind of some cool views I wanted to show you, which I'm really glad they worked. Let me get back into All right, and as I've already explained, as far as the emergency vehicle operations course, what we call the EVOC track is approximately 1 mile long, rolling terrain, various curves and speed situations, four-way intersection area with signal controls. All of those controls from the signals will run up into the control tower, and they'll be able to do different scenarios with that. There's a brake cooling station because they go through brakes like crazy. The skid pad area I explained to you earlier. The skid pad is it's obviously a large concrete pad, but there's an area that's finished to be more smooth so they can actually lose control and then work to or train to get back control of any vehicle that they'd be using. The shared observation tower I've already talked about, and then there's the 4,000 square foot fleet maintenance building, which, like I said, here's the fleet maintenance building, so it's an easy access right off the track if something were being needed. This right here is your brake cooling station. It's really just a depression in the concrete to where the car would drive through it, cool off the brakes, and take off and go again, as long as it doesn't need tires. So, and again, this is where our tower is going to be. Yeah, so that is the EVOC track. Skid pad, like I said, right here, this kind of darker grayed out area is the area that we finished off smooth instead of like your typical roadways where it would be more broom finished or maybe rake finished or comb finished. So it's just different texture, and the cars will handle differently on that. And then this is that SWAT area I was talking about. This is all gravel. It looks like concrete, but that's all gravel. This is the fleet building where we just kind of a high-level version of where we could get 3 cars into it at an angle, and this is for the command vehicle, so we can finally get that into its home place instead of it being shifted around and put wherever it actually fits. I think Water and Sewer was gracious enough to house that. If they aren't still, I'm not sure, but at one time the command vehicle was down there with Water Sewer, one of their buildings. This is a 3D virtual, or just a 3D rendering of kind of what that looks like. It'll be a pull-through situation. Other than that, the other amenities I was talking about was the K9 and obstacle courses. Let me back up here. So right in here is where I'm talking about the 2 obstacle courses, but PD's already talking about maybe moving them over here closer to the range pavilion. So we'll see if those stay there. They're not going to get built out right now. We're just grading them out level so they can do that in the future if they'd ever want to. So as far as some of the other amenities, the Breachers Alley I already talked about. The retention pond that you'll see a picture of here in a minute could support possible water rescue training or anything they would need with that. There's a drone training course that's really just kind of flying through a bunch of the trees that are still there. If you go down Firma in between the water treatment plant and this project, they'll be flying through those for drone training. And I've already talked about SWAT training area. As far as the construction update, Phase 1A mass grading and site preparation was completed in 2024. The 200-yard firing range, as I stated, was completed in 2025, and right now we're currently underway with construction in Phase 2. So this is where the retention pond is. This was our borrow pit, and this is just a picture of the high-level grading that we needed to do to get that to the footprint that it needed. I believe it's about 12 foot deep, 12 to 15 foot deep at its deepest. And it takes all the water that comes in through our site, which is a significant amount because it comes from on the other side of Highway 79 through this site and stops here. Well, it doesn't stop here, but it gets in the retention pond and then is discharged properly off-site from our system. So this is just some more stormwater system install that we did as part of Phase 1A, building the dam out for the retention pond. We did some other storm pipe installation as part of Phase 1A. This is the overall grading of where the range would end up is right here. And this is the pavilion and the parking lot area, but this was done as part of Phase 1A just to get us to the certain grade we needed, which the area where any structure is sitting has been built up to bring it up out of floodplain because it's all in floodplain down in the river bottoms. And so we did bring up everywhere that there's a structure, building, or anything with structural, like our tower and everything is set up above the elevation that was required per planning and zoning and engineering. As part of Phase 1B, we started bringing electric into the project. We grabbed onto it Highway 79. This is just our main distribution panel pad. Nothing terribly exciting, but there's a lot of power that comes into this. This is some roadway grading, the main north-south roadway that goes up to the range from Firma. Just some general high level. You can see that road right here materialized after we got all our rock in. They put the rock in for the parking lot that goes here, the pavilion goes here, and the range ends up right in this area, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. This is some footings that were just some footing pictures from the range that was done a couple of years ago, just to kind of show you some of the progress when it came to that. And again, I apologize. I didn't get any final pictures in here. I realized after the fact, so that was my fault. But I do want to give you some high-level bird's-eye view of what we have for the final phase ongoing right now, and our focus is to try to get that EVOC track concrete installed as far as we can get, which building a road in the middle of winter is not ideal, but we are actually having more success than we anticipated at the beginning. We've had some pretty decent weather, and you can see the range right here. That's high level. But we've been able to get, this is our starting point. We've got all the way around here, down to this picture, all the way down to these outer curves on the east side, and the skid pad is actually getting poured out for its final pour in this picture. You can kind of see the pump. It's really hard to see, but the pump is down there, and they're pouring that out that day. And then, in all honesty, we just finished this section here with concrete down to this intersection. I don't have a great picture of that. And then there's an east-west road that we also got finished. So we have a really large loop right here coming around that they can use, plus the skid pad, because there's there's been planned for a showcase training with a police training conference that's here in St. Louis in March. So we're working to try to get this thing to where they can at least do a showcase training in March. So we've accomplished what has been asked of us, but it's going to be tough to get some concrete down in the next couple of weeks just with the weather that we're seeing. But this is kind of a bird's eye view of everything. Right here are our pads. This would be our fleet building pad. This would be our sim house building pad. This is our classroom building pad. These areas are parking lots that you see kind of graded in here. We've had, as far as the water line, some stuff that we've been working with water and sewer on is we do have an upgraded 12-inch main that comes down here and then goes along 79 and is in a position for any future tie-ins for future development should that ever occur. And at the same time, it services our project very well. So that's one thing that would be related to our public works system. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to questions. If you want me to go back to something, I can.
All right. Questions, George?
Yeah, Chris, concerning all the things that are going to be done for the castle project, what's going to be going on with the Justice Center where they have the firing range and they have the various training rooms upstairs and all that, and the canine housing?
Yeah, it's all going to stay status quo as far as I know. I don't have the details to what their overall plan is, but the range is still going to be an active indoor range for us to use and anybody else that would want to rent it out or however they handle that. All those training rooms would still be used the same too, because since this is a coordinated effort with St. Charles City and us, you know, they've been talking with other agencies to be using this outdoor facility for outdoor training at the multiple levels that we can provide when we get it built. So it's going to this will provide different training than what some of the stuff in the Justice Center can, because you can only do 25-yard certifications in the Justice Center. With that indoor range, you can qualify out to 200 yards on this one, which is what SWAT needs a little bit more. It really kind of, this whole thing materialized because I don't know if you remember the old firing range was out there on the backside of the water or of the sewer plant, and it was very tiny and old and outdated, and we have over 120 sworn officers that need to qualify, and we were struggling to, from my understanding, we were struggling to get those certifications done when they needed to in a timely fashion, and they were trying to find time in all the other areas of around here to just get their training done, and this is going to be a one-stop shop that'll be specifically for O'Fallon and St. Charles City, but then at the same time we have a lot of other agencies that are showing interest in this just for future use, and a lot of training needs that aren't available in this immediate area. Like if evac track, there's not an evac track in this immediate area, so officers have to travel hours or across the state or further to get any evac training. I think the closest one is somewhere around Jeff City. I've not been there, but yeah, so it's just really bringing the training needs to the immediate area so we don't have to send people, you know, out to get that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. That's
Yeah.
great.
Mary?
Yes. What are the opening hours? Is it going to go 24/7?
No, it's not 24/7. I think they're kind of working through the operations and the hours of things once they actually are able to start getting in and using it for all the training that it can be used for. Right now with the firing range, they have hours that I think cut off around 4 or 5 with firing live rounds just to help with keeping some noise down for now. But I don't know what their hours are going to be set when they get fully open and fully staffed and full of all the needs that would be needed for our agencies and others. So it could go till maybe like 10 at night. I'm not even sure though. That's just what I've heard, high level.
And how is that going to affect the noise in the area, the shooting range?
Yeah, well, for one, the shooting range was already in this area. This is just a little bit bigger. So that noise is going to remain. I mean, the firing or the shooting is always going to be heard out in that area. And we've already taken some steps to help with acoustics in the range, and added some acoustical treatments. We got done with those in October, and that helped out significantly with just the shooting side of it. As far as the other stuff, since we don't have it active, I don't know what kind of noise issues that might cause, but we don't anticipate it causing too much as far as that, as far as just, you know, driving around the track and all that kind of stuff. But there will be sirens and things like that you typically hear, but yeah, I really don't have a great answer for that because I'm not part of the operations of it. I'm just trying to get it built so they can use it.
Yeah, we'll hear it from the people.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, we'll hear it from the people.
Oh, yeah, we already have. Yeah.
Yeah, just to piggyback on the sound a little bit, it's loud.
Yeah.
It's still loud. And I'm like a mile and a half away.
Yep. So it will be heard.
When you're shooting, there's no inside the house, you hear it. So, I mean, that was going to be my question. Is there any further sound, anything in plan?
Not at this time. Nope.
Because that range is actually directed like straight line right towards my house on the backfire. So it's just...
Yeah, the alignment of the range is not pointed
For
at
20
anything.
years, I never heard the other shooting range,
Yeah.
and I hear this all the time. So, yeah. Great.
So when this was going through idea and planning and what have you, and you've touched on it a little bit, Chris, interest from other agencies, and this, I believe, was thought to be a regional facility. And this really might be more towards Councilman Wexler. Have we, or when will we start, I assume, contracts with outside agencies, letting them come in? I know we in St. Charles have first dibs, but have we started that process yet with other agencies?
Yes, we have. I can answer that
I would
question.
say, sounds like he may be
Yeah.
better, because I have not heard anything about contracts, so.
Yeah, they've been working with, we've had multiple agencies already come out and use it for, I don't know exactly who they all are, so I don't want to start throwing names out, but I know there's been multiple different agencies that have been out there to train, all the way since we opened it. It's been a little bit quieter recently just because of cold weather, and there's a lot of stuff going on right now, so there's not been as much training, but yeah, when we first opened it, there was some others showing up. PD could probably give you some answers, a little bit more on that.
And then you said something about future development. Are you referring to future expansion of this facility or future development just in the area in general, which is a question that I have is, do we have the option to expand this facility if the need arises?
So like setting the water up would have been for like future development that is spurred from the use of this facility. I don't know of any efforts right now to expand, but I mean, we're sitting on 75, 76 acres, and there's ground around us if that's what it would take. If there's other agencies that would be looking to, you know, improve and have some different training, which we're covering a lot, but I'm sure there's something else out there we're not. There would always be that, I think, possibility, because we have some open ground still on site, but there's a lot of ground around us if that's what would be necessary.
Because I know St. Louis County has had an effort ongoing for some time that never seems to go anywhere, and you know, maybe if our county leaders decide that this is a good opportunity to spend county money in St. Charles County instead of St. Louis, that if we could expand this then perhaps and let them.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any efforts at this time to expand it from what we're doing now, and we capture a lot of the training needs that I've been around with talking with the PD about. I think we're capturing almost everything they would need. Pretty darn close.
Good.
Yep.
Chris, are there any other facilities in the state like this? Except for, you mentioned Jeff City?
I think there's something similar to this out in Kansas City, for sure. And I think Jeff City is probably pretty close too. Yeah. I don't know all the specifics of those other two, if they have like a sim house or fleet buildings or anything like that, but I do believe there's another EVOC course that's over there in Kansas City. Yep.
Is this facility open to anyone in the state?
As far as agencies,
Right.
that's something I think the board of directors, so this facility will be controlled and operated by a board of directors, which is made up of City of O'Fallon and City of St. Charles staffing. And I think that would be up to them to determine on how far it reaches. And I'm not familiar with where they're at with that right now. So, but I think it's definitely open for, you know, local agencies for sure at this point in time. And I don't know if they've gone further out or national. I don't know if they've done that or not.
Scott?
Yeah, hi, Chris. Is there a, like, anticipated usage rate, or, you know, it's going to be used, you know, 75% of the year? And are there built-in revenues that we anticipate from other agencies?
Yeah, other agencies, from my understanding, would have to pay to use it under whatever agreements they come up with. I don't know the specifics to all those or what it costs or anything like that. That's stuff that PD would know a little bit more because they're dealing with all that kind of stuff. As far as usage, I mean, we know what we built it for and anticipate is it's full pretty much all day, every day, especially with the Eastern Missouri Academy now being included in that. I'm not exactly sure if they're a tenant or how that all works, but I'm confident they're moving out there with when this gets open. So, you know, that would be a pretty consistent use of this facility. I know that just our guys in St. Charles City, or our guys and gals, are all chomping at the bit to get training here. So, you know, with us having over 120 sworn, and I don't know what numbers St. Charles City has, but I would say they're right at that too, and just having the time we'll fill it up quite a bit just to get all of our stuff done and then be able to supplement with anybody around. So I think the anticipation when this is open is this is all pieces of this, depending on the training, because there's some things that when 200-yard shots are being done, they're qualifying for that. There's certain things you can't do because you got to make sure safety-wise people aren't driving around to like a back side of something to where something could happen. So obviously they're going to have to think about all that, and they're working through that with the operations of it. But yeah, I mean, to simply put it, we anticipate it being full all the time once we get it going. Yep. Or once they get it going.
Okay. Are there going to be full-time staff there?
Yeah. Yep, they plan on having that. Yep. Might not be a lot at first, but there is planned full-time staff.
All right, Mary?
Since this is a partnership between St. Charles City and O'Fallon, what's the percentage of the sharing, or how is that set up with the partnership? Is it 50-50?
Yeah, essentially 50-50. Yep.
All right, any other questions? I love that it's here. I'm like get this fear that I'm going to hear sirens at midnight and, you know, that type of stuff. So, I mean, that's my one concern. And I'm sure you've had to have fielded calls about sound. I mean, it's a new sound. I know what it is. It's not really bugging me, but it's there. So I anticipate, you know, since it doesn't look like we're planting, you know, a giant row of trees to start absorbing stuff or sound walls to block anything. I'm a little worried when we're doing road driving and we're squealing tires and sirens and all that stuff as a repeat type scenario, that you're going to have calls like crazy and the next door pages and Facebook are going to blow up with what's going on Highway 79. So that's my only real concern. All right.
Understand.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're going to move on to the water and sewer project updates. Sean's coming up.
First off, I want to introduce my new project manager, Max Hillerman. Came on board here recently in early January. He's replacing Kathy, who retired at the end of last year. Comes up to us from the Illinois State Water Survey, right, where he managed dewatering systems over there along some of the highways and stuff. And we're very happy to have him on board and helping out with our project, because got a lot of projects going on, and it doesn't help to spread doesn't hurt to help spread some of that wealth around. So I've been keeping up, but good to have him along. So he's going to be helping me out at the plant, and then also anything we got in town with lift stations and water mains and towers. So, but the reason why I'm here is to kind of give you another quick update on our projects we got going on around the city with the water and sewer side of the. I said sewer side last time. The closed caption recorded it as CCTV or as suicide. So there was an email going around like, is Sean okay? So Marshall said that to me the next morning. So I'm with sewer division, I'm going to say now. I was reminded myself. So I'm not suicidal by any means, but what's his name? Joe got it and picked it up on it. Anyway, so let's get into the project. So I'll start with the water division projects here. Got a few projects still, a couple projects, the wastewater treatment plant. One of them was actually completed last year. That's our new alluvial well that's going to feed our water plant, or help feed the water plant. That was drilled on site there and built on site. We got that done. Contractor's got to come back and do just a little bit of settlement grading, but other than that, it's wrapped up. I put in there in this slide here some percent completes too, so kind of where we're at. So the RO general, and I'll get into these projects again further detail down with more pictures and stuff, but the RO project is the main one right now going on at the plant. That's the big $10 million upgrade to the plant. It's kind of starting to hit its stride now. It's about 15% completed. We actually had a call this morning with the RO vendor, making sure they're on track to deliver the equipment later this year. In design at the treatment plant, we've just kicked off our pre-oxidation improvements project, which is kind of the next phase after the RO project. It's to kind of address some front-end issues of the plant to get some of that iron and manganese out of the system before it goes to the filters. So that's just getting rolling here and getting started on design. So still pretty early phases there. For the distribution side of the world, we've got actually just last week we had our pre-construction meeting for the well 3 and 4 chemical feed improvements. So there's no percent complete on there yet, because it just now started in construction here. We bid it out late last year and got it under contract. And as far as design goes, working through design for the Brookside Forest water main extension, and that's just about 30%. Let's get into some more of the details of those. So again, here's that alluvial well, a couple of finished pictures of it, one of the inside of the building, and then one of the outside kind of back area. It's kind of in the northeast corner of where the plant is, the main building for the plant. It's off that northeast corner, kind of on the back side as Furman Road wraps around the back end of the plant. And you'll see it there. So it's up and running, doing good. So no real issues. Control-wise, it's working like it planned. So. And then this is the RO project, or reverse osmosis project, and water plant improvements. This one's under contract with Camex Construction. Again, we had a call this morning or this afternoon here after lunch and talked to the RO vendor called Bywater, who we pre-selected their equipment. We went out for the RFP before we bid it out for the full-scale project, just so we could design around a specific RO manufacturer, so we didn't have to have a generic set of specs and drawings to try and cover multiple versions. So really helped the design, finish design phase of that project, and then getting it down the street. We had locked in prices with that RO vendor too at that point. So that's a couple year long project. So right now it started, I don't know, mid last year, and it's going till early next year about this time. So. And the big, we call it the RO project because the main piece of that is to replace the 2 reverse osmosis units. So here's a couple pictures. The bottom left one, you can kind of see some of that piping that's disconnected. That was what we call cartridge filters. There's still one remaining. I don't know how Chris did his pointer here. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. So this is one of the last remaining cartridge filter that we're currently using still to feed the existing ROs. There was one here and there's another one here that's been disconnected and just demoed by the contractor. That'll be, all this, that equipment goes away. The new RO, they call them skids, will have those cartridge filters built on to the skid or just right next to it. And then we're extending the channel where those RO or those cartridge filters are sitting down here. You can see where that channel was extended to connect the two pipe galleries. And then we're going to run the RO feed piping through that new pipe channel and over to the new RO. So the right-hand picture, let's see, this is the filters that were recently rehabbed with Goodwin Construction. Was that a year ago plus now, maybe now? And they pretty much sandblasted, recoated all the tanks, put new media, new under drains in those systems. We put new valves and controls on those filters. This project, we're actually addressing some of the chlorine gas and vapors. Every time we backwash those filters, it stirs up that media and it releases a lot of chlorine gas in the building. So we're actually covering these filters with some new fiberglass covers and going to put a duct system on there to draw fresh air in and then pull the air off and put it outside the building versus inside the building. So it will hopefully greatly improve that air quality in that building. It just won't be like a swimming pool in there all day long, every day, just eat with chlorine gases. So those are the new covers going on. You can see a couple more pictures here. Recently, the contractor started some painting of the piping that's in their work. You can see on the filter, discharge. Some of those pipings are getting, repainted. And then here's another picture of the filter cover. One with in the background that doesn't have a cover, and then one that's got most of the cover installed. Pre-oxidation, again, this one just kind of infant design phase right now. Not a whole lot of updates from them yet. We probably got a progress meeting coming up right in the next month or two, but we've been just sharing data with them, getting them files, drawings and stuff to get them going on the design. And Burns and McDonald's working through that design right now, so not a whole lot update from, I think, the last meeting. Like I said, it's still pretty early stages. Well 3 and 4, this is the one, again, we just had a pre-construction meeting last week on this project. TGB is our contractor for this one. So this is adding, getting rid of the chlorine gas from those sites because they're right next to, one's a daycare in the neighborhood, one's next to McDonald's on Main Street up here, and more neighborhoods in the back. So there's kind of a safety concern there. We're converting that to sodium hypochlorite to be similar to our water plant, and then going to convert to chloramines using liquid ammonium sulfate. So that'll again match the water quality of the water plant with a chloramine byproduct, or not byproduct, but disinfection residual in our system. So again, we just we issued notice pretty early October, and it's scheduled to be wrapped up here in the summer, which is good timing because by the time this wraps up, then our ROs will be hopefully showing up on site shortly thereafter, which will have some work at the plant to shut down. So we'll be needing these wells back online so when we can take the water plant offline to start installing the new RO equipment. So let's see. Brookside Forest, again, working through design here. We're about 30%. Most recently, they've been doing some potholing for some existing utilities just to include with their design some of our existing water mains in the area. I think we got some force mains down there by those lagoons, the old lagoon site, the Peru Creek lift station, that they're just verifying locations right now and adding that to their design. But yeah, other than that, Cochrane's been working through design, getting things laid out. That's budgeted. This one's budgeted for construction 2027, so we've got this year to get through that design. And sewer side, oh, I just said it, dang it. Sewer division projects. Treatment plant wise, 3 projects going on now. We just kicked one off too recently. Solids handling improvements project, which is just wrapping up. That was the biggest part of that project was the new headworks facility, screening facility, and there was a few other sludge handling components to that project. Grit system improvements, that was just, it's been kicked off for a couple months. Mainly there's some main equipment that the contractor needs. It's scheduled to be shipped I want to say May is when we got confirmation for shipment of some of that equipment, the main piece to the puzzle that they need before they can start really doing anything in that tank. And then the odor control project, which we just kicked off too. So design side at the plant, sludge dewater improvements is just kicking off design here recently. We worked through a little bit of equipment analysis initially, and now we've gone full scale design. We figured out equipment layout and the direction we want to go there. So now they're starting full scale design, our final design, and that one's budgeted for this year. So we're hoping to get that started sooner than later. And then the wastewater plant improvements project, that's kind of our clarifier rehab project. We got 4 primary clarifiers, which are the circular structures, and we got 4 final clarifiers, which are also circular basin kind of settling tanks. Those, we designed it kind of as a package deal where we can rehab a clarifier one every 2 years and kind of get them on a schedule so that they're not, right now they've been kind of rehabbed over the years, repainted or fixed here and there, but this is kind of a good, some are pretty old, original to the 1980s plant. Some have been, like I said, rehabbed a couple times, some have never been rehabbed, so the plan is to do one every 2 years, and that'll get them all back up where they need to be over the next few years. So that one's budgeted for construction in 2027, so right now we kind of just got the design sitting there waiting to finalize it until we get the budget in place. So collection system, the Prue Creek Lift Station EQ basin upgrade, this project's been kind of dragging on a little bit. We've had a couple changes to that with some DNR requirements. I think we've got that hashed out. Now we've got one little minor change we got to make on some valve actuators, and once we get that hashed out, that project should be able to wrap up hopefully pretty quick. It's about roughly halfway done. And then design side on the collection system, we've got a lift station upgrade projects that's looking at a couple lift station improvements. It's still pretty early design on that one. Sanitary sewer improvements, that's the design of a couple relief sewers. They're pretty much done with design. We've actually just started easement acquisition on a couple of those. And then the north lift station upgrade is about 20% design. We're working through a lift station. That's actually the lift station where the Castle project will now be also discharging to, pumping to. So it's an original 1970 lift station to the plant. That's actually on our wastewater plant property. It's and it's well past its usable expected life. So it's a well overdue upgrade to that lift station. So let's dig into some pictures here for those. This is kind of the star of the show for the wastewater plant. This is our new, I call it influence screening building, or also known as a headworks. So this is where the flow initially comes into the plant. We actually, now we call it the old headworks. The original headworks before this one was just a 1/4-inch bar screen. It had a 1/4-inch gap between bar spaces that would then had a rake that would clean it off every so often. This one now has the a new 1/4-inch bar screen followed by a perforated, what's called a perforated plate fine screen. So it's got a 3 mil plate, and I can show you on the next picture, which is this screen right here. So these are all, each one of these is a perforated plate, so you can see the material it's already catching, and it's basically a big belt of this that looks like a hockey stick that goes down in a channel, and it'll collect material, and then every so often it's measuring the level differential from the water before the screen and after the screen. When that level differential gets great enough, it tells the screen it needs to clean itself, so it kicks into gear, and it rotates that belt around, and it's got a brush that sweeps it, plus washers that spray it off, and it really cleans up the influent water, because there's, a 1/4-inch bar is nice, but there's still material that can sneak past it. So this one, it's a lot harder to sneak anything past it. So it's really cleaned out our screening capability of the plant. Plus it's, a future improvement that we got coming down the road. It's kind of a future protection for what we're looking to plan and do with this next project coming up down the road here, which is our sludge dewater improvement, which will be our new centrifuges. So it's kind of a protective measure for that equipment too, down, long term with the plant build out with some of the future improvements. So again, we had some sludge, handling improvements as well with the project. that lower right, this is our new load-out conveyor. So we recently went to a tractor-trailer hauling system to minimize trips to the landfill and be able to haul more material. This is a conveyor that takes it from our existing conveyor, and then it's got multiple door openings that are all actuated, that you can tell where to spread that material out over the trailer without having to actually move the truck and trailer. Before we just had one spot that was dumping the sludge out, so you constantly had to move that truck forward to spread the load out evenly. This one kind of is the operator has control of which doors to open and close, and can load it wherever he wants. So grit system, that's a project that's just getting rolling. Well, that's the one they're kind of waiting on equipment till May. Electrician's really the only thing that's been in there. Same electrician that did our Headworks project is doing this project, Vision Electric. They've been kind of having an electrician do some prep work in there for some conduit runs. You can see some of the conduits here that they were running along the ceiling of one of the grit classifier room. So just some minimal prep work for electrical stuff, while, like I said, the main thing is they're just waiting on that equipment to be delivered to actually start the main construction. Here's our sludge dewatering improvements. This is the centrifuges I was talking about. So this is kind of a scan of the inside of the building. So these are the two centrifuges we're looking to install that will then do our sludge dewatering. We have a belt press right here. I don't know if anybody's been in that building. I know some of you taking the tour. This is the belt press. The plan is to pretty much take that down to its frame and rebuild it, keep it on site for a backup, and or use in conjunction if we get behind and we need to catch up. Kind of funny, we've started design on this, and they call it the Serpentex conveyor. It's the conveyor that takes the cake material off the presses, conveys it out to the next room. It's been having some issues lately. It's wore out. It's got a chain drive mechanism that's started off as it jumped off track about a month or so ago. Now it's been happening about weekly, and now it's starting to happen daily. So we're trying to keep that system limp by while we're getting this design done, so we can get it out on the street and bid it out and get that system replaced, because that system's pretty much on its last leg. Then on Monday morning, the guys came in, and the main breaker that feeds the electric to that building was tripped. So it's like, and that was part of the improvements too. It's like it knows we're working on it. It's like come on. So we've got, that's the electrical room down here in the slower area. We've got new gear that's planned to go in there to feed all this new equipment. Plus, we're getting rid of the old RDP system, which is the room on your left here, the green area, which is no longer used. So we're planning to use that as a new kind of a dual tractor trailer drive-through bay. But yeah, it's just timing wise, it's crazy. It's like we're starting a project and then things start to pretty much fail, and like it knows we're starting it. So odor control, this one was bid out late last year and just issued notice to proceed last week on it. KCI Construction was our low bidder on that, and that one's got scheduled for final completion later this year. Really no activity yet. I think they said the equipment lead time is it should be there around August, and then it'll pretty much be waiting on that. There's a new concrete pad that goes down for it. It's going to replace the current scrubber, carbon scrubber on site. It'll be a new bio system, so it's going to use a liquid kind of R process water plus in the wintertime, if we get low enough growth where we need to feed it, we can feed it like a fertilizer miracle grow system that keeps the bug activity alive, or the growth alive, the biosystem alive. So but it'd be a lot better fit for the odors that we're sending it, which is currently going to be drawn off the new Headworks, the old Headworks and grit system, and the waste activated sludge tank. And here's that wastewater plant improvement one. That's the clarifier rehab. That one's, like I said, again, the intention there is to start rehabbing these clarifiers one every couple of years. That spreads our budget out, so we're not trying to do a huge multi-million improvement project right out, with doing them all at once, and it kind of spreads out their life, and you're not 20 years down the road, not having to rebuild 8 clarifiers. You can again, kind of have them wear out on a longer term basis and not have huge costs, one lump sum. Let's see, Prue Creek, this is that EQ Basin project. Again, it's kind of going through a couple of hurdles with MDNR on a couple of things, but we've got that hashed out, and now we're just trying to wrap up the last little change and get them wrapped up and out of there. It's scheduled to completion April of next year, and we extended to April just because we're actually made part of the contract is to have them pave this gravel road all the way around the site, because now we have our concrete facility. Steve worked on Jay. They have their concrete small batch, I don't call them not small batch trucks, but they're ready mix trucks that they can make their own material for some of these sidewalk or driveway repairs and road repairs, and not have to wait weeks on concrete. So that's been all built out after this picture in this area, but that'll give a nice access road all the way around that site, plus to the new, which is the cell 2, which is the new cell that we're turning into an equalization flow basin. So that'll give us good access to that area too. So, and lift station upgrades hasn't changed much. East lift station, we're looking to replace some stuck gates in that station, and then excuse me, 2 of the ventilation fans that are failing on top of that wet well system that need to be replaced, and then the Prue lift station actuator replacement that's got some rusted out, failed electric actuators that were down a lift station. We're going to move those up out of that corrosive gas area and get them out of the wet well and bring them above the structure and mount them up there and replace them to get those gates working again too. So, sanitary sewer improvements, Lockmuir, this is the one currently in easement acquisition. The design's pretty well wrapped up. We'll go through getting the easements. Once we get all the easements hashed out, we'll wrap up the final stage of design, put it out on the street, and get it out to bid. So, and then North Lift Station. This is the lift station called North Lift Station, but it's on the south end of the plant, but it's north of in the town kind of geographical area. Again, that's originally built in 1970 with the original plant that was put in back in that time frame for the town, and it's got, I know 1 pump's failed. It's got a 3 pump system. One of the valves is broke. It's getting to a stage where it needs to have some attention. So with that was a lot of talking, and I don't know if anything sunk in, but did I introduce Max? No.
What's the flow rate of the, no.
Yeah, come on now.
Any questions? Mary?
What did they do with the sludge? Are you using the same?
No, we take it to a landfill now. So we landfill it. The what's called an RDP system, it was a lime pasteurization process that they used beforehand, which created a Class A, but we were spending a lot of money to produce that and still just paying to haul it to a farmer that would land apply it. The other downside of that is you can only haul it when the weather and land apply it when the weather's good, so we would have to store it in the meantime, which created odors, and then that system was last estimated to need about $17 million worth of upgrade. So we actually cut that. We got it approved with DNR to take it to a landfill. We save, I think we were spending $300,000 a year just on the lime alone to do the lime pasteurization, and so I mean it was a huge expense that was no benefit really to the city, and we were still paying to haul it away. So we do have landfill fees now, but the savings and I think Marshall had a presentation a while back that showed how much we were saving, with less electric costs, less equipment costs, not the $17 million upgrade. So it's a savings overall for us, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, and it's just, we have a tractor trailer that just takes it to the landfill, and they actually like the material because it gives them cover material to cover the landfill with. So.
Okay.
I had one more.
Yeah.
What is the moisture percentage of that sludge when it goes out?
Usually it's probably average around 20. Some days are better than others. It depends on what kind of material we're processing, like call it primary sludge. Out of our primary clarifiers, it's more of a heavier sludge. It's easier to dewater. So if we're sending a lot of primary sludge, it might press a little more. We might get up into the mid-20s that day. As we process the waste activated sludge tank, as we draw that tank down, kind of changes throughout the week, and we might get 18 or 20% later in the week or something. It just varies on the type of material. Right now, with the holidays and we had the breaks in there with not vacation, but days off, we were trying to catch up somewhat with our tank levels, and so it was getting a little wetter. On a couple of days, got down I think in the 18 range, but it's somewhere, I'd say average around 20% now. It's like a dry cake, falls off the belt. I don't know if you've come out toward the plant, but yeah, I mean it gets a nice cake material. It's pretty consistent. So.
Okay, George.
Yeah, just curious, is the solid waste hauling being done by the city of O'Fallon, or is it like a third party?
It was a third party when we were doing RGP system, but no, we've recently brought that in-house. We started with a roll-off truck that we got from Jim Winzera, and converted to, it was an old rear loader truck that we converted to converted to a roll-off. We got a couple sludge dumpsters. Year or two ago, 2 years, I think it was 2 years ago now, we purchased a semi. It was COVID time, and it took us over a year to get the truck because it was COVID, couldn't get parts or chips or something. And so we got the tractor trailer set up now, and it's a lot nicer. It's just, I mean, it's cut the loads in half versus the roll-off dumpsters. It's higher up, so it loads a lot easier, from the cup dropping from the conveyors. It doesn't, splatter all over the walls if it's too wet or something. So, but yeah, it's we have one tractor, 2 trailers right now, and we have in the budget this year another tractor to pull that second trailer, so we'll have full redundancy. 2 trucks, 2 trailers once we get the second truck bought this year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, questions? Wendy.
Sean, the landfill that they haul the sludge to, is that it specifically for the sludge, or is it just a general landfill?
It takes it to Champ Landfill down in our city. We bid it out. I had to rebid it here last year, and they were the low bidder because they're pretty close. I think another landfill in Illinois bid it, and then I think there's one up by Bowling Green, but I don't know if they bid it this last time or not. But yeah, we take it to Champ Landfill right now. So MSD takes theirs there, I know, from their Missouri River plant. Maybe another, I don't know, a couple other facilities. I know Granite City hauls. I did some previous work over there as a consultant, and they take theirs to that landfill by the racetrack, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Oh, Councilman Wexler.
Thanks, Kevin. Do you ever have any problems with Champs turning the loads away? And if so, what's the backup plan for that?
So we have, they want us to get it there before like 1 o'clock, I think, in the day, get it early so they can cover it with other materials sometimes. I don't think it's us as much because I think it's more of MSDs that, I don't say smells worse, but I've implemented a sodium chloride injection system that helps control the odors for that system in our sludge. The landfills even ask us quite a bit about it and was very curious about that because I think they're looking into it too. But no, so yeah, we've recently tried to get our loads there before 1 o'clock just to make sure, give them time to cover it with their material. We have looked into, I think it's called Eagle Ridge, another landfill further south that as a backup, just in case they would get to a point where they would say, hey, we can't take your material right now, to have that backup source. But we haven't got it set up contractually yet. We're working with them on what that would be because they want like a guaranteed amount, right? And so that's where we're having that back and forth of what that rate's going to be for emergency kind of situation. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sean.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
We'll move on to a traffic calming presentation.
Yeah, while Todd's coming up, Todd is our Assistant Director of Engineering, Todd Arch. So he joined us about a year ago. He came to us from Hanson on the traffic side. So he has years of experience dealing with traffic and traffic studies and problems and things like that. So we're real fortunate to have him, and I think this is the first time he's presenting to you all. So give them a warm welcome. So thanks.
All right, welcome up to the podium.
Well, thank you very much. Wade, you took my first slide. No, as Wade said, it will actually be a year this coming Tuesday. I'll be here with the City of O'Fallon. Before that, I was with Hanson as a consultant engineer, and I was actually the on-call traffic consultant for the city, and I was in that position for over 16 years. So when I came to the city, it was a pretty easy transition. I know the people, I know a lot of the projects, but traffic has always been my background, and so taking over this and working with traffic calming has been a nice transition for me, and on the easier side to learn for a new job that had been now not as new. But okay, so for this presentation, I'm going to kind of go over traffic calming, what it is, what it isn't, part of it, a little bit of the history of the project of traffic calming in the city, and then kind of our process of how we handle issues that come in and our process of determining if a road does qualify to have traffic calming installed. So the resident committee wrote the traffic calming policy in 2007, and the City of O'Fallon adopted it in 2008. And a side note, I was actually part of authoring that policy back when I was with Hanson, near 20 years ago now. So began installing the physical traffic calmings in 2011. And the policy had quite an update and a change of protocols in 2023 for a lot of the council direction. Travel speeds, a little bit of driver here. So how drivers drive roadways, be it a highway, be it a subdivision street, they very rarely get on the road, search for a speed limit sign, and then, that's how I'm going to drive. What they'll do is they'll drive as fast as they feel comfortable in a safe, reasonable way along a roadway. So here's a little bit example of one we just did this last year. We have Calumet Ranch Trail and Quarter Horse Trail, all off of Knaust Road, just south of here. On the city, both of these roads came in at the same time, really, for a traffic calming evaluation. Calumet Ranch Trail is 36-foot wide pavement, very straight alignment. Quarter Horse Trail is 26-foot wide pavement, our typical standard pavement for a subdivision street, and has more of alignment curves with it. The average speed on Calumet was 30.7 miles an hour, and the average speed on Quarter Horse Trail was 22.75 miles an hour. And these were counted at the exact same time, the exact same weather, and likely by the exact same drivers because they do intersect with each other. So the natural characteristics of the roadway a lot of time dictates how fast the general driver will travel that roadway, not necessarily the sign posted on the side of the road. These long, wide, straight subdivision streets that are more collectors, it gives a sense of ease and you go faster. I've been in the situation, I'm sure none of you fine folks have, but every once in a while you'll be in there and look down like, oh my goodness, I'm going 30 miles an hour and I should not be going 30 miles an hour in the subdivision. But you don't feel like you're going too fast. You feel very comfortable and you feel like you're driving in a safe manner. So what traffic calming is traffic calming is physically altering the roadway. It's not a sign, not a stop sign, it's not a warning sign. The traffic calming that we're doing here is to physically alter the roadway to address the way the drivers slow down. Signs only work so well, stripes on streets only work so well, but physically altering the roadway forces the drivers to slow down. And the only goal of traffic calming is to reduce the average speed of a roadway. Basically, it pulls the overall roadway average down, like it said. And contrary to popular opinion, most traffic signs and most traffic speed limits in the city and most places are obeyed. It's conceptually deceiving if you're standing stationary in your yard or mowing the grass and see someone pass at 25 miles an hour. It looks very, very fast, but in reality, it's not as fast sometimes as it appears to be. What traffic calming is not. Traffic calming will not stop someone from driving recklessly or distracted. So the UPS driver going down at 50 miles an hour down your roadway, the traffic calming is not going to stop that person. And traffic calming will not prevent someone from speeding excessively. It just is not, the design of it is not what it's for, not what it can really do. Types of traffic calming we have in the city, these are all off a lane, I think. Raised islands and median, what this essentially does is it narrows the effective width of the roadway. So instead of having a wide street, you have a narrow street. It gives you a little bit more uncomfortable feeling as you're going through and it slows you down instinctively. We have traffic circles, not a roundabout, traffic circles in the middle of the street that forces drivers to physically divert and turn around them. And more commonly in the city, we use speed dips as well. And here's a little bit of the policy that we have that's approved in 2008, and like I said before, revised. In Section 19 of the overall traffic management policy, the policy does take a while. It takes about 6 to 9 months to complete, and it can be costly. As we all know, physical infrastructure is not inexpensive, it is costly. We do attempt to work our traffic calming in with our concrete program to try to use the same contractor to try to cause less disruption to the public, and then usually ultimately get a better price with the contractor already out there working in the area. And it starts out with an initial petition. A resident would call me or email the site asking what can be done. People are flying down my street, I'm afraid somebody's going to get hit, XYZ, the UPS driver, the Amazon driver, whatever, and they'll contact me, and I'll go out there usually, meet with the person and find out what the area they're talking about and what is the problem they see with it. So with that, we'll come up with a general area. So if it's along Calumet Ranch, we'll go the length of Calumet Ranch as an example of what we decided with the petitioner is the area that needs to be looked at and studied. And then we will come up with a general area. And a general area is clearly defined now in the policy. It kind of takes some of the subjectivity out of it. It's one of the changes that happened in 2023. That is with driveways located with 300 feet of the roadway that we're studying. We had some complaints like, my house isn't involved in the general area, but I drive this road every day. How come I don't get a say in what happens to it? But that kind of takes a lot of the subjectivity out of it, and it really affects the people that have driveways that live on that road where the excessive speed could be happening, and gives them a say in how it functions. So then we go out and count the cars. We basically put counters in the pavement, and we count for at least 5 days. I always try to have a weekend involved in there. They aren't going to be we try not to count during the summertime because schools have quite a big impact on the traffic of a roadway, especially during high school. On Turtle Creek, Turtle Creek we put a bunch in. We obviously didn't count during the summertime because the high school drivers from Fort Zumwalt West are a big impact on how the driver and traffic on that road happens. We always try to include a weekend as well. We don't count during the wintertime. The snow can be a big havoc, and the plows don't do very well with traffic counters laying down in the street. It kind of destroys them instantly, so we don't count during the wintertime. But we do collect the data. We have the ADT, which is the average daily traffic. We get the speeds and the volume of this roadway to get an overall picture of what is actually happening out there. What are the speeds of the cars out there? It's not anecdotal, it's the actually counting of the data. And then we have a very detailed process. It kind of, again, takes a lot of the subjectivity out of it, about how we determine if a roadway segment qualifies for traffic calming. This is just a snapshot of Calumet Ranch. I'll get into the details later. And this was quite a fast one. Look down at the bottom, 120 was its score. A score of 80 based on our criteria qualifies for traffic calming. And this is our criteria. We take into consideration mostly speed and volume of the traffic. The violation rate is a big aspect of it. Are there schools nearby? Are there parks nearby? Are there refuges for pedestrians or pedestrian areas? Are there sidewalks? What's the driveway density? How often are cars coming out? Because driveways that can come out. Sidewalks, street lights. It all plays a part in adding a point score to the site that is evaluated. And like I said before, 80 points qualifies for traffic calming. Oh, skip 2 there. Once it decided this site does qualify for traffic calming, city staff will come up with a preliminary design, which is based on the geometry of the road, based upon where the sewers are for the dips, based upon where the intersections are, where driveways are, where could traffic calming be installed to help the overall speed of the cars going by. And then we'll do a design presentation. The city staff will host an open house to present this preliminary design to the public and gain a consensus of the residents in the area. Sometimes they say this is too much, sometimes they say this is not enough. You get some people that come that are very adamantly against it, some people that complain it's going to ruin their property value, a lot of different opinions, but we do open it up to the public at the public meeting to get their opinion and try to get a consensus on how to handle the design. And once we have compiled that, the city staff will modify the design based on feedback and develop a final traffic calming design. This will be then presented to emergency services for their comment as well. And the neighborhood approval, once we have the final design, emergency services has said we're fine with this, we'll mail out a mail-back survey to the general area, again, which is those within the driveways of 300 feet of the studied roadway. And the survey requires a 65% vote in favor for all ballots returned. And now that is quite a change from the original process. Usually what it was previously was 65% of the ballots mailed out. So essentially a non-return ballot was considered a no vote. And that has been changed per council to all ballots returned. So, and there isn't stated in the policy a threshold. So if only 3 people return a ballot and 2 people won it, well then 2 people decided that it goes forward. So even if a traffic calming is warranted by the study, it still goes to the citizens to vote for. We've had designs that went out when traffic calming is warranted on this roadway and has been voted down, whether they had a majority or didn't reach the threshold to install the traffic calming. And then the zone goes to the city council. So once the design is approved, the citizens approve it, it does go to city council for the final vote, because the council has the ultimate say in how city dollars are spent. And then we schedule it. We try again, like I said before, we try to schedule it with the concrete program as best we can to cut down on mobilization, to cut down on the contractors out there and the disruption to the public, to make it easier and to go in more seamlessly. And then we do an after study. So between 6 and 18 months of installing the traffic calming, we'll go back and recount the traffic. And we'll see how it has affected, if it has affected the speeds and overall volumes of the traffic. Volumes not so much, but the overall speeds, has it worked? Is it effective? And again, if a traffic calming for whatever reason does fail, either it doesn't meet the threshold to get calming or it gets voted down, it can be reapplied for, but it needs to be an evaluation of 1 year. You can't reapply within the same calendar year. Well, not calendar year, 1 year from the time you started the process to begin with. And we do also have a process for removal of traffic calming. It's not always the best fit. Sometimes it doesn't work or it's more intrusive than people thought it was, and they can be petitioned again to the city. We have a process for that. Not very common, but it can come up. There is a process for removal of traffic calming, again, at 65% of votes in favor of removal for all the ballots that were returned. And this is traffic calming evaluations looking back. So in 2023, we did 6 evaluations. 2024, we did 7. 2025, we did 9. And so far this year, I've had 3 unique requests already in early January. So either word's getting out or the process is doing as it's expected. So I anticipate doing more than 9 this year with the rate they're coming in already. Some things to keep in mind. No one can legislate performance of drivers. Human factors play a large role, like I said before. The traffic calming has a certain purpose, and it is limited in what it can possibly do. It's not perfect. It has its drawbacks. Mainly, as this committee well knows, it's expensive. Putting in traffic calming is not a cheap infrastructure. It's not inexpensive. It has drawbacks. If there's raised median is in front of someone's house, well, they lost some parking. We try not to do that. We try to put it in more of a public area where it doesn't affect someone's parking as well. If the dip is there, it could affect how they park or pull in and out of their driveway. So it's not a perfect solution in all situations, and it has its place. Again, staff can only carry out what's required. We try to follow our policy. And streets, the property of the city of O'Fallon in public cities are viewed for everyone. So some drawbacks of traffic calming is it can divert. It really, in my experience, it really does not divert volume. People say, I'll never drive that, I'll go around. They'll find out that going around actually does take longer. But they can divert traffic, so you can push a problem, essentially. If you solve it in one place, they could migrate to another location as well. And so it could sometimes, but the city's streets are public streets, so even if they're used for cut-throughs, that's still a public street for the city. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. We got any questions? Greg?
Of the slide where you showed the surveys of the previous years, of those, what percentages actually led to traffic calming?
I wasn't here for the previous years, and I didn't do the research on that, but I know last year We had Turtle Creek was the one that got approved, and there was one, Brookside, not Brookside, I'm trying to think of the one, the name slips me right now, that was actually approved, but, it qualified but was voted down. So 2024, we had one location go in. 2025, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 have qualified. They've not gone out completely for the vote yet, but they've qualified for calming.
Thank you.
Todd?
Yes.
If you ever know of a serious traffic calming situation, but nothing's ever been done about it, do you ever step in?
I don't quite understand. So go ahead. So if there's like a really awful spot in the city,
Right, have an awful spot and nothing's ever been done about it. All you hear is complaints about it. Do you ever take action on anything like that?
we have to follow the city's policy because it's, again, with the city dollars, there's not necessarily, if there's a severe crash history, that is also looked at too. If there's a severe crash history or there's been injury crashes there, that can certainly be involved and be weighed with the decision of whether to move forward. Studies could maybe be even expedited if necessary, but the process comes in with first come, first serve, because a lot of unless there's a bad crash history or the police report, this is an awful area, I listen to the citizens about how awful the streets are in front of my house, but it is anecdotal, so we do take the data and the policy, each situation is studied in turn as it comes in.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Is it the current policy that the dips are the default traffic calming or different ones applying to different situations?
Yes and no. Raised medians are one of the ones we go to, but dips are the prevailing one. Dips are the most common sight you'll see around the city. We don't do speed humps or speed bumps. We've heard that from the streets that the plows, they'd much rather use the dips than the speed humps and speed bumps. So they kind of do the same thing effectively, other than obviously going a different direction in the geometry. But the dips are the most common that we have and use in the city.
So that's mainly based on the preference of the city plows as opposed to resident preference?
No, the residents do get a say. I do think the dips are more effective than the traffic circles that I showed earlier. That is that can only be limited. It kind of almost needs to be in an intersection as well. So those are limited in where they can geometrically fit and where they can apply and be effective. And sometimes the raised medians narrowing down where there's not a pedestrian, it's not as effective in that, again, for most drivers, it does give you a little uneasy feeling. A dip will force you to slow down, or else you're really going to damage your car, if you care about that kind of thing. Some drivers don't care about the damage of your car, but the narrowing down of the roadway section, it gives you an uneasy feeling, but drivers that are more comfortable, they're more aggressive, if you would say, it's not as effective, I don't believe, as the dips are. So that's usually our common go-to for traffic calming.
Final question. Is there, for the traffic, the traffic circle and the intersections, is there different sizes of them? Or do you need a certain size intersection and we have one size that's available?
It needs to be large enough, obviously, for school buses and fire trucks to go around. Parking usually wouldn't be allowed on either side of it. But what it physically does is it makes the drivers have to turn the wheel and turn back as opposed to going straight. But they have to geometrically fit to allow larger vehicles, delivery vehicles, school buses, and fire vehicles to get through.
That'd have to be a fairly major intersection, really, and all that.
It kind of depends. Again, it has to be a fit with how large it can be. Again, it's not a roundabout, but it's made to slow down the traffic in the middle of the intersection. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's kind of case by case.
Okay, Mary?
What if you have a dip that's made too deep and vehicles are hitting it all the time? And it's dangerous sometimes going through that because you have cars avoiding that and you're coming the other way. So how do you go and fix that?
Okay. How do you mean avoid it? I'm curious with what you...
I'm sorry, what?
When you say avoid it, how would they avoid? What do you mean avoid it coming the other way?
If you're going east and the car is going
Okay. The dips that we install go completely across the road, so there's really not a way to left and right avoid it. You will hit it no matter what. Hit it's the wrong word. You will traverse it no matter what. If it's designed correctly, the dips and the profile of the dips and built correctly, that isn't any more of a change in grade than going up a rolled curve for a normal driveway in the city. The angles going down and going up is typically the same as going up a rolled curb for a typical driveway in the city. If it's not built correctly, or if something is wrong, or if there's a profile that doesn't allow it, it'll have to be either shallowed or reconstructed if it is determined to be a problem. Some vehicles, more than others, are lower than others and will hit it. But if every car, if it is not built correctly or installed correctly, and cars are constantly scraping it, that will be addressed. Yeah, it will be modified or shallowed or modified to not have that happen.
So if you modify it, do you raise that dip?
Yes, if they're hitting it or scraping, it's either coming in or coming out of it is either too steep. Is either too steep or too severe. So they shallow that up. You still have the dip, so you still have the calming effect of it, but it won't be as deep, so that scraping won't happen.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thanks, Todd.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the acceptance of the Public Works and Engineering reports for October and November of 2025. Can I get a motion?
Move to accept.
Give me a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and we'll go on to discussion of agenda items for future meetings. If you have your iPad on and if you hit the future meetings button, it will show you about 10, 12 items that we have here. So we've got Greenway developments, shared use path ordinance. We just did the castle construction update, so we're done with that. Eggering reconstruction project up here by City Hall, heading over towards the park. West Terra Bryan Road improvements, Cottleville Path, Highway Inn. I think we kind of just covered that a month ago, maybe. Concrete formula for the pavement index, environmental service, recycling index, or recycling update. Traffic calming, just covered that. Public Works facility update. And then water and sewer project updates. So we've got some items here that are slated. Some of those are ongoing. Does anybody have anything else they want added that we don't have on that list? Scott?
Yeah, I'd like to see if there would be a possibility we could do a tour of the castle facility as a group sometime.
Yeah, so the completion is like October-ish. So we're probably, a year away maybe? But yeah, definitely that will be on our list. Mary's got to go hit the skid pad. Okay, anything else to add? Okay, with that, I believe we're going to move on to closing comments. James, I'm going to start down with you.
I just wanted to thank everyone for their presentations.
Chad?
Yeah, just as James said, thanks everyone for your presentations tonight.
All right, George?
Ditto. And Max, welcome to the city of O'Fallon. Glad to have you here. And wonderful presentations tonight.
All right, Mary?
I've been on this board for 18 years. And I don't remember trying to absorb everything came at me tonight. But I hope I absorbed enough that I'm able to sit here and take participation. But welcome you guys that are new to us. And I'm not really hard. I'm just nice. Thank you.
Bill?
Chris, Sean, Todd, thanks for your presentations. And Max and Todd, welcome to City of O'Fallon.
Greg?
Yes, Max, Todd, welcome. Thank you for the presentations, Chris. Great job on the castle project, even though that's, you're really more on building it out, but answering the questions on usage and other agencies coming in. Appreciate that.
Scott?
Same here. Great presentations tonight. Welcome, guys. Glad to have you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Pam?
I always appreciate the presentations and the time that everyone puts into those. And welcome to Todd and Max. It's always good to have new faces. And I guess that's it.
All right, Wendy?
Same here. I appreciate everyone taking the time with all of us, and everything was just very informative, and I welcome Max to the team. I just want to comment, I know Kevin and a few of them had commented about how Castle, with the noise level and all of that out there, but I truly think it is so important for our police officers to have a good training facility. And I know probably that land out there has been sitting for a while, and I knew one day something would happen with it, and I think that is the best thing that could happen, is to have a good training facility for our police officers. Thank you.
Yep, I totally agree, Wendy. It's a great project to have in the city, and I think there's expansion and future use and all kinds of stuff, possibilities there that we can benefit from. Echo everybody else's comments. Thanks, welcome aboard, everybody that's new, especially you, Max. We're going to get you up in front of this mic before too long. You just got to wait, and it'll happen. With that, I'll let Councilman Wexler.
Yep, thanks. Just want to say Godspeed and fair winds to our Public Works Department this weekend with maybe potentially a foot of snow coming in. So, yeah, that's really all I've got. Thanks.
Okay. All right, the agenda says I go to the Public Works Director first. Steve.
Well, thank you. Following up on the comments about snow, I've seen predictions all the way from 2 inches to 9 inches, so it's going to be somewhere in and around there. But that's probably only half the story, because of the cold temperatures are going to make things brutal and hard. The chemicals will really be, they'll work, but they get ineffective when they get down in those really cold temperatures. And what normally takes a half hour to melt snow could take 4 hours to melt snow, so it's going to be tough on them. But other than that, I don't really have anything. I'll get you a Public Works update on the facility next month. We're still looking at an August completion there, but I'll get you some details on that next month.
Okay. And then the Director of Engineering comments, Mr. Wade Montgomery.
Well, thank you, board members. One thing, Mexico Road is closed. There was a 8-inch gas main that was hit around noon, 1 o'clock. So between K and Bellow Creek, it is closed. So the detour is take Sondern up, VMP over, and back down Bellow Creek. So hopefully it'll be open back tomorrow morning, is the last we heard. So there should be information out on Facebook and things like that on that. This year there'll be different repair and projects occurring at City Hall. They'll be replacing some of the roofs, copper dome out front from the hail from a couple years ago. They're going to be making some improvements within City Hall. So different areas of the parking lot will be closed off at different times. We'll be sure to get information out to everybody on that. With that, I wanted to mention the Castle project. It's been a very tough and challenging project, both through the design and now on into construction. Just dealing with two different police facilities, and if you've ever dealt with police, you know what I'm talking about. But Chris is, to be able to manage that, I don't know if anybody else could, and Chris has done a great job with it. I'll also brag on Steve, the Public Works facility. If it wasn't for his vision and his constant looking and turning over every rock to find funds, even probably fighting with me over funds, that project wouldn't have happened. He's pushed it along. His staff has turned every shed and pizza storage place into an office, and it'll be good for Fleet and Public Works to finally have a real facility, and Steve's a big part of that, really the whole reason for it. So with that, thank you all.
All right, with that, can I get a motion to adjourn this thing? Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.